Hi everyone, and a formal welcome to the 23-24 FPL season. Game week 38 from last season seems a long time away. I hope you've had some fantastic downtime and have had a good break from FPL. Safe to say that I haven't done that. For those that have been following my pre-season content, you'll know that I've been creating mock-up drafts by using the planning tools that are available through multiple websites such as Live FPL and FPL.team. So I have a basis for my first draft because when I was using those tools, I essentially created a final draft. Now, of course, that's based on predicted prices. So since then, it's clear that some of the pricing is substantially different to what was predicted. So what I will do is show what that quote unquote final draft was. And I am also going to be making some changes. And in turn, I'll be constructing my first official FPL draft. And as we can see from the aesthetics there, the fundamental design of the game hasn't changed. That the last major uplift took place last season. So without further ado, let's get straight into it and begin with this first official FPL draft. So as you can see, my auto team picks are still there, and I've simply unselected them. And what I'm going to be doing is selecting the players that I had from my final mock draft. So Kepa was my goalkeeper. I also had a dud sub 4.0 on my bench as well. So let's just pick Travers from Bournemouth. So from the get-go, I've already got my two players there and go straight to the defense. So with the draft that I had Ben White, of course, so I'll restore him. I also had a Estupiñán, so let me just select a replacement for Virgil van Dijk, and I had Dunk as well, so I'll bring them both in here. Cancelo, not sure why he's still in the game, so I'm going to select him as my replacement. Beg your pardon, select his replacement, and as I mentioned, that will be Lewis Dunk. So that's the other change there. And then I also had a dud sub 4.0 player as well. And I had John Stones, shouldn't get them mixed up. So let's get John Stones in here first of all. So select my replacement. Let's get in John Stones, wherever he is. Probably on the second page. Yeah, it must be above Cancelo. There he is. And yeah, just a dud sub 4.0. And it's interesting, when I constructed my draft, I hadn't realized that some newly promoted players who actually started last year also had a 4.0 price tag. So I will be addressing that with my changes that I'll do to this draft. So let's just, for argument's sake, pick Richards from Crystal Palace. So that's that. And then coming onto my midfielders now. Of course, I had Mohamed Salah, so I'll bring him in. So Havertz goes out, select the replacement, Mohamed Salah. And get rid of Trossard, and I had Saka as one of my players as well. I also had Jarrod Bowen, so I'll bring him in to the picture as well. I also had Mbeumo, and in my iteration, I predicted that he would be a midfielder. So I'll select my replacement for Anthony. In comes Mbeumo. And lastly, the 4.5 was Harrison Reed, but I believe that his actual price is 5.0. So I'll just pick any 4.5 midfielder that comes up. I'll pick, let's pick Anderson, actually, of Newcastle United. And then lastly, my front line. So, of course, Haaland makes the cut. He is right in there at 14.0 million. And then with the mock-up draft iteration that I had with that planning tool, I did say that if Mbeumo is reclassified as a midfielder, I would then switch him out and have him as a midfielder, of course, and then Evan Ferguson as my other striker. So there he is, Evan Ferguson. And lastly, I had a 4.5 striker, and I think at that time I just picked a random Luton player, Taylor. There we go. So what I'm going to show you now is the basis for my um, official FPL draft. This is not my my first draft, but as we can see here, interestingly enough, there were some significant price changes that took place. Some players were priced a lot lower than expected. Other players remained the same, and other players had a price increase, but not as high as expected. So that's where my team was. So with this iteration, obviously, it's clearly a 4-4-2 with the players that I have. But as I construct my official FPL draft, I am going to be making some changes as well. So one of the first changes that I want to make is I want to get Bruno Fernandes into my team. I just feel that at 8.5 million, he's underpriced. Like, he matched the same number of fantasy returns that he got last season, and yet he had a massive price cut. So Bruno Fernandes for me is a no nonsense pick. Of course, Rashford at 9.0 is also a viable option, but with Bruno Fernandes, what he's capable of, his set piece prowess, his X-Mins, it makes sense to get him in. And just by that one move, I still have 1 million in the bank as well. So I'm fairly content with the buffer that I have there. And that's going to allow me to make further changes to my draft. So another player that I'm going to try and accommodate in this first draft, and it is going to be difficult, but I'll try nonetheless. I want to get Trent Alexander-Arnold in, just because, okay, he's 8 million, but he offers exceptional value. So let's give it a go. And I'll get, it's a tough one. I do want my Arsenal cover there as well. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually downsize Kepa for the time being, and I'm going to get a 4.5 goalkeeper in. If I really want Trent Alexander-Arnold, that move has to be done. And the 4.5 keeper that will come to mind, it's a tough one because I feel that there aren't like a lot of options available at hand. But based on who we have and based on their run of games, I'm going to go for, if I can find him here, just make sure he is here before I pick him out, Fabianski. And the reason I'm choosing Fabianski is purely because I feel that West Ham have a good opening run of games in those initial fixtures, and I'm happy to just have him there. Will he be? I'm not going to be rotating goalkeepers, so yeah, let's have him and a 4.0 West Ham backup goalkeeper as well. So that is the move that I'm going to make in the quest of also trying to accommodate Trent Alexander-Arnold, which will be fairly tough, but we'll try it nonetheless. Areola comes in as my 4.0. And of course, I've got rid of Jarrod Bowen. So as it stands, I've got 1.5 million in the bank, and let's see if I can still shoehorn him in. So just looking at this, perhaps I'd have to downsize Ferguson here. I think that might be the way forwards. I definitely want Ben White. I'm just going to just check the other Arsenal defenders who are expected to start, if there's any 5.0s. I've got a feeling they're all going to be 5. Oh, that's a surprise. So Gabriel and Saliba are 5.0, yet Ben White is 5.5. I have no idea how they've factored that in. And Zinchenko is 5.0 as well. Well, thank you very much, official FPL. I shall get rid of Ben White and I'll bring in Gabriel as my Arsenal defender. Thank you. There we go, 2 million in the bank now. So I'm actually going to get rid of Dunk, and I'm going to try and bring in Alexander-Arnold. Of course, I still have a significant amount that I need to bridge. In we come Trent Alexander-Arnold, and with that back line, got Gabriel, Estupinan, Alexander-Arnold, and Stones. Now, the 4.0 defender, I've heard that there are two potential starting defenders, one from Luton Town and one from Burnley. The Luton Town player, I think he's on international duty right now. So I'll still pick him as my player who hopefully will be on the bench. And it's Bell, who's played a lot of matches for Luton Town last season. I believe he played almost all of the championship matches, barring a few. So he is my go-to 4.0 defender right now. So as it stands, I'm happy with my defense, happy with my goalkeeper for this first draft team. And it's now a case of just trying to get an extra million to make it all fit. So unfortunately, my hope was that perhaps they'd give us a cheeky 4.0 forward or a 4.0 midfielder. Wasn't to be. So perhaps I need to get rid of Ferguson. I think that might be the way forwards here. And I need to get a striker who is slightly less than 6 million. And I might actually go to Luton. But in terms of options, let's just see teams selected by. I've got a feeling, yeah, they've not actually shown the percentages for the first time. This is quite interesting because in seasons gone by, teams selected by is shown, especially in the before game week 1, and here it's all 0. But the player I'm actually going to go for, so forwards at 5.5, and I mean let's just for argument's sake put in total points as well, although I probably won't be going for a striker from last season. I mean, Edouard, No, Vincius, Nketiah, Moore, Wood, Undav, I mean, none of these players interest me at all. And look at Raul Jimenez, 5.5 million, once a stalwart for many FPL teams. Weghorst, no way. Yeah, I mean, none of these players interest me, but I will be going for Luton's forward, who I believe his name is Morris, and I believe he is 5.5 million. So in he comes, because I know he scored like a fair amount of goals for Luton last year. I'm hoping he starts again. So I've got this bizarre situation now where I've got 3 Luton defenders, Taylor being dud sub 3, Bell being a sub 2 potentially. But I need this extra 500,000. I need to shave it off from somewhere. And unfortunately, the only way I'm going to be doing that is I'd have to get downsides. I have to switch out Saka. So to make this work, I'm going to go to Arsenal. Of course, I'm going to have all the midfield options here at hand. Odegaard's 8.5, Saka's 8.5. But as we can see, Martinelli is 8 million. So out goes Saka, in comes Martinelli, and hopefully that should bring my budget, there we go, exactly to 0. So the team as it is, Fabianski and Areola, got in a 4-4-2, Gabriel, Estupinan, Alexander-Arnold and Stones, Salah, Martinelli, Fernandes, and Mbeumo, and then Haaland and Morris up top. And I'm going to save these changes to make my official draft confirmed. There we go. Confirm the transfers. And I know that there'll be a lot of teams who actually may not even have like Salah in their team because they're going to just try and shoehorn as many 7.5s and 8.0s as possible and make Salah my vice captain. And I mean, the glaring misses in this team, and I'm going to just bring up my fixture difficulty ratings here. Chelsea have a fantastic run of opening games after the Liverpool match. I definitely want to get like Chelsea cover. Perhaps I can't get it in from the get-go, but with the team that I have right now in this 4-4-2 formation, I just want to make a quick change. Gabriel is going to start. And there we go. Just ignore the funky team name. Just have to type in something super quick. And of course, I'm not a Sheffield United fan. Just have to put that in temporarily. So, of course, I want Fabianski as my starting goalkeeper as well. So, captain Haaland, vice captain Mohamed Salah, and of course, not going to be playing any chips, and free hit won't be showing in the first game week anyway. So there we have it. I'm just going to zoom in just so that it's picture perfect for those who are going to be watching it on whatever device that you have. Game week 1, 6:30 deadline on Friday, the 11th of August. Fabianski, goalkeeper. Estupinan, Alexander-Arnold, Gabriel and Stones as my back line. Martinelli, Fernandes, Mbeumo and Mohamed Salah as my midfielders. Haaland and Morris as my strikers. And then with this bench, I mean, I've got Anderson there. I probably should get rid of him. Actually, let's quickly make this quick amendment because Anderson probably won't be getting many minutes. Just so that I just need to zoom out again. So yeah, it'll be unfair to have him because I won't be considering him at all. So 4.5 million. Let's just make this change fairly accurate. 4.5 million midfielder. I'll see if there's any from last season who are still there. Oh, there we go. Beg your pardon. 4.5 million. Oh, it was Anderson, the highest one. So, oh, that's a tricky one now. Who am I going to pick? Let's stick with Anderson. Yeah, edit, undo. Let's go straight back. Let's just have Anderson in there for the time being. I'm sure there'll be a 4.5 newly promoted player I could probably get, but Anderson just as a placeholder for now. Areola, of course, as the backup to Fabianski. So Fabianski in goal, Estupinan, Alexander-Arnold, Gabriel and Stones, Martinelli, Fernandes, and Mbeumo and Salah, Haaland and Morris up top. Now, if I had an extra 500,000, I would consider upgrading Morris to Wissar of Brentford because with no Tony in the team for the foreseeable future, I feel that Wissar could get substantial minutes unless Brentford loan in another attacker. So that's something that comes to mind from the get-go. But having the likes of Haaland, Salah, Fernandes, Martinelli, Alexander-Arnold and Stones, I think it makes perfect sense. And I feel that with Arsenal's fixtures, if I wanted to attack them from the get-go, I could as well. But I just wanted to go for balance in this initial draft. So yeah, I think it's fairly balanced. And I think 4-4-2 may be the way forwards for many FPL managers simply because of just the way the prices are in FPL at this moment in time. I'm just so glad with the defensive options available that I was able to get those players. And yeah, still question marks remain on whether Stones will start. Of course, due to the commitments they had towards the end of last season, he wasn't starting many games towards the end of the Premier League. So potential question mark over there. But yeah, I probably could do with a Brighton midfielder as well, but you can't have them all. Yeah, Morris is the only question mark, but as a whole, with the pricing that we have, I'm fairly content with that. Let me know in the comments below what you think. And as always, if you can like, share, and subscribe, that would be greatly appreciated. Just a reminder, this is my first draft, my first official FPL draft for the 23-24 season. There'll be many more between now and the 11th of August. I'll be hopefully collaborating with other content creators and we'll be collectively working on mock drafts together as well. And also, I'll be reviewing and rating other drafts on FPL Twitter. So thank you very much. Take care and all the best, everyone. Thank you. Bye.